Anglers are waiting for the shad, striped bass, and other migratory fish to begin their spring run up the Delaware River. A recent study found the presence of tiny microplastics throughout these popular fishing waters.
So they are, less than a quarter inch. The largest ones are less than a quarter of an inch, down to 0.1 microns, so very, very tiny particles. And so they make their way into the environment. First, they can get into the sediment, so they're resident in the sediment and get suspended.
Samples collected by the U.S. Geological Survey and the National Park Service found microplastics in samples of Delaware River water, sediments, fish, and mussels in a 140-mile stretch of the waterway between Callicoon, New York, and Burlington, New Jersey. The samples were collected at 9 locations last year. Experts say there are several sources for the material. Consumer products that contain tiny microbeads are one.
You may remember in the early 2000s, that was one of the selling points. It was right on the cover, on the advertising, on the label, microbeads to better cleansing, deeper cleansing.
The United States banned the use of microbeads in products 6 years ago. Microplastics are also formed when plastic bags, styrofoam, tires, and other material break down in the environment. The shoreline of the Delaware River and some of its tributaries are littered with those products. The Delaware Riverkeeper Network and other watershed groups have collected plastics and other debris along the Newton Creek, the Frankfort Creek, and other tributary streams in the Philadelphia-Camden reach of the river. New York and Delaware have banned the sale of single-use plastic bags. A ban goes into effect statewide in New Jersey in May of 2022. Philadelphia and 3 other towns are suing the state of Pennsylvania over a law that temporarily prevents the communities from enforcing plastic bag bans.
Every bit of this helps because one of the things that we learned in our review in 2015 is the contribution of other larger plastics. Quite frankly, going into this initially, most of us were of the mindset it was that microplastic in the pharmaceutical and the consumer product. Then when we got more information and looked at other people's studies, we realized that the breakdown of a lot of the more typical plastics that you and I use, plastic containers, the shopping bags, and all of those things, as they break down, they too have eventually get these small plastic particles that follow the same pathway.
Microplastics were found in 100% of the water and sediment samples, 94% of fish, and 45% of mussels collected. The study did not examine the biological effects of microplastic ingestion on fish and mussels. Scientists say the impacts of fish ingesting the substances can include reproductive effects and liver toxicity.
They abrade internally in these aquatic organisms. They also are a way to transmit other kinds of toxins into those aquatic organisms, as well as pathogens. So they make their way into the environment that way.
Getting the microplastics out of large water supplies will also have to be addressed.
But yeah, it's something that water purveyors are going to have to look for and test for, and because their consumers are going to want a guarantee that the water they're consuming and using for personal use doesn't contain these. But I think it's early enough in the process compared to, say, a chemical form that we're going to be all right in trying to manage this one.